In this tutorial, you'll learn the smart way to create charts right within Adobe InDesign. Notice I'm using InDesign CC, which stands for Creative Cloud. I'm using it on the Mac, but this works on Windows as well as older versions of Creative Suite, such as CS6 or CS5. I'll click the Adobe logo to close that little splash screen. And this is an absolutely brilliant way of doing pie charts and several types of charts right within InDesign. If you've ever tried to create a chart in Adobe Illustrator, you may have noticed it can be a rather daunting, challenging task because that technology was developed in the 1990s. And trying to update the chart requires round-tripping it back and forth to Illustrator. So you may find this to be a much wiser way of creating some basic charts. So let's take a look at how this works. There's a very special Chartwell pie font that's being used here. I'm going to switch the view mode by visiting the view menu and changing the screen mode back to normal view, because right now you're looking at preview mode. So you can see there are some text boxes here for just these little callouts. But what's really amazing is this is actually a text box. That's not a graphic. I'm going to double click to get in there with the text tool. Notice now I'm on the text tool. I'm going to select this text, and then I'm going to right click and choose down here to edit that in the story editor. This is kind of a way of sneaking in the back door here so that you can actually access the values for this. For example, I'm going to change the 40 to 30, and then watch what happens as soon as I click over here. I'll change that 10 to a 20, so I'm essentially just swapping 10 there. So you can see that just updated in real time. So the magic behind this is what's known as discretionary ligatures. This is a rather clever thing, but right up here in the character panel, for OpenType, you can see you need to activate this discretionary ligatures feature. And you might do that perhaps with a character style. But the bottom line is, once you access this font, Chartwell Pies, as you can see here, and this is the point size 200 point, then you can have it create a little pie chart. And you can simply select the text and colorize it. You can see this particular ring now, although it's selected and inverted, is actually in green. I'll go ahead and change that to another color here, for example this Pantone color right here, and then you can see that little ring in the chart just changed. So how do you create this from scratch? Well, you'd simply start by creating a text box, as you see here, and then switching to the font Chartwell Pies. I'm just going to click in here and start to type the word Chartwell. And there are several types of Chartwell pie fonts. This one right here is the one I'm looking for. And you need to make the point size considerably larger. In this case, I'm just going to type a 200, tap tab, and then you would just simply type in the numbers that you want, but first you have to activate this feature. In other words, OpenType discretionary ligatures, once that's on. And again, I prefer to use the story editor so you can actually see the numbers, because with that particular feature on, it may look a little strange. So you can type, for example, 10 and then plus 20 plus, and it all has to add up to 100, of course. So that's 60 plus another 40 perhaps, and there you can see it's added up to 100. And then you can select the text and just change the colors. So I'll make that perhaps magenta. I'll make the 20 a different contrasting color, like cyan perhaps. And then you can see that that's changing the colors of those segments of the chart. And then once you've created that, you have all the power of Illustrator to change all sorts of things. For example, if you want to add like a bevel and emboss, for example, I'll just close the story editor here and switch to the selection tool, and then just go to the effects panel and perhaps add like a bevel and emboss. And I'll just turn on preview here so you can see that coming true. So you can see that adds some depth and dimension to it. And then beyond that, you might add some callouts, for example. And then at some point, you might just want to, if you want to get the ring effect, I'll just switch to the ellipse tool here. And to draw from the center, I'm just going to hold down the Alt key on Windows, that's Option on the Mac, as well as the Shift key, so I draw a circle from the center. And then I'll just simply switch the fill of that to paper without a border, perhaps. Or you might leave that and perhaps maybe typeset something in here. And then that would be perhaps the name of the chart. And then you can really get creative if you want. I'm just going to go ahead and select the pie chart itself. And to clone it, I'm holding down the Alt key on Windows or Option on the Mac and just dragging out a copy, holding down Shift to maintain alignment. So there's a clone of it, and then you could convert this to outlines by choosing Type, Create Outlines. And now there's different segments there. And then to take that a step further, you might animate it as you see here. Now that takes a moment to set up the animation, but just to kind of cut to the chase, I'm going to switch to the Swift Preview panel here and just click the little play button just to show you that. It's just a matter of setting up the animation options to do a shrink to 80%, and you can see I've just kind of captioned what I did there. I've just added a drop shadow. So you can really create some really cool charts right within InDesign and not have to round trip it back into Adobe Illustrator. And the font itself is available from fontfont.com, and it comes with documentation. And it is available for just that font itself is only $25. And again, if you do a lot of charts, you can probably quickly cost justify that. If you want to do other types of charts, you can buy the whole package for $129. But basically, you're able to create a wide variety of charts and just update those numbers in real time. Perhaps you might leave the original off on the pasteboard, for example, so that you can always bring in the live data back. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and we cover this and much more. We do project-based training. If you want to send us some samples, perhaps, we'll be happy to customize a class for you. We also have regularly scheduled classes, plus if you're seeking certification for Adobe's Certified Expert exam or associate exams, we'll be happy to help you with that as well. Thanks for watching the video.